Standard 9, Lesson 2.4, The Fall of Troy. Part 1. This chapter, The Fall of Troy, narrates the story of the tragic fall of the city Troy, written in the Iliad. A prince of Troy, Paris, had convinced Queen Helen, wife of the Greek king Menelaus, to elope with him. The Greeks thus wanted to avenge this disgrace to their honor and pride. Troy was protected by the high peaks of Mount Ida on one side and a great fortress on the other side. The Greek forces came in their ships and boats and set up tents and camps around the Trojan fortress. For 10 years, innumerable Greek and Trojan soldiers fought the battle every day. Many soldiers and heroes died each day, but the war went on. Towards the end of the 9th year of the war, Hector, who led the army of Troy, was killed by Achilles, the legendary warrior, who was also killed later. However, in the 10th year, the city of Troy was captured by the Greeks, not by war, but by a clever trick. Now we can see all these in this lesson. Epics are long poems that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. They often tell of a nation's early history. They may be composed and sung or recited for many years before they are actually written down. The two famous Sanskrit epics are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and the two great epics of European literature written in ancient Greek are the Iliad and the Odyssey. Just as in Indian literature, we go back to stories from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, so in the literature of Western countries, they go back to the Iliad and the Odyssey. Just as children all over India know the names of stories of Ram and Sita, Yudhishthira and Arjuna and Draupadi, so children in Western countries know the names of Hector and Odysseus, and Achilles and Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman in the world, because of whom the Greek and Trojans fought for 10 long years. Nobody knows for certain who the author of these early epics is. It is thought that they arose and developed with the nation itself and were handed down from singer to singer till perhaps one great poet gave them their final form. It is believed that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BCE and who wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing his poems to all who would receive him in their homes and give him hospitality. This wandering singer has been honored through the ages not only in Greece but in all Europe as the father of European poetry. So now here epics were transmitted from generation to generation by handing it down from one singer to another till one great poet gave them their final form in writing. So we can see so many epics in India as well as in other countries as well. And Homer is honored with the title Father of European Poetry because it is believed that he composed and recited two of the most famous epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad is the story of Ilium or Troy, a rich trading city in Asia Minor near the narrow sea that leads from the Aegean to the Black Sea. It was well situated both for commerce and agriculture. In front of the city was a sea over which sailed the ships of Troy carrying goods and grain. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, from which flowed many rivers and streams. The valleys among the hills were well watered and fertile, with corn growing in fertile fields and cattle feeding on the rich grass of the meadows, while sheep fed on the slopes of the hills. Now coming to the questions over here. How were epics transmitted from generation to generation? Epics were transmitted from generation to generation orally, as over a period of many years they were handed down from singer to singer till perhaps one great poet gave them their final form. Have you seen any of these stories in TV, serials or movies? Yes, I have watched Ramayana and Mahabharata serials and also watched the movie Troy. Why is Homer honored with the title Father of European Poetry? Homer, a blind poet who lived about 900 BC, wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing his poems. The Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by Homer, and so he is honored through the ages, in Greece and in all Europe, as the father of European poetry. Around their city, the Trojans had built a strong wall so that no enemy should attack them from the sea. The wall was so broad that people could stand and sit and walk on it. The great gates stood open, and people could go to the seashore outside and come in as they pleased. But in time of war, the gates would be closed, and then the city was like a strong fortress, quite safe from all attack, protected by walls surrounding it, as well as by the hills behind. Thus Troy was a strong city, strongly protected by its walls and strongly defended by its brave soldiers. But all the kings and heroes of Greece had declared war against the Trojans because Paris, the prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen, wife of a Greek king, Menelaus, to elope with him. He had brought her to Troy. The Greeks wanted to take revenge on Troy for the wrong done to Menelaus. They sailed to Troy and laid siege to the city. The Trojans too fought hard, and the siege continued for 10 long years. So I had told you, for 10 years innumerable Greek and Trojan soldiers fought the battle every day. Many soldiers and heroes died each day, but the war went on. Towards the end of the 9th year of the war, Hector, who led the army of Troy, was killed by Achilles, the legendary warrior, who was also killed later. The fighting went on daily, but the siege did not end. On the one hand, the Greeks could not take the city, and on the other hand, the Trojans could not force them to sail away. Trojans are people of Troy. They are given the name Trojans. Greeks are people of Greece, and Trojans are people of Troy. Every day the Trojans came out of their gates and the Greeks came out of their tents and ships, and the fighting went on. Sometimes there were great battles between the two armies. Sometimes there were single fights between the two great heroes. Sometimes the Trojans had the better of it and sometimes the Greeks. But still the fighting went on. Now we'll be coming to the next part. But before that, let us go to these questions. How did the location of Troy help it to grow into a very rich prosperous city. Troy was well situated. In front of Troy was the sea over which sailed the ships of Troy, carrying goods and grain. At the back was the high peak of Mount Ida, from which flowed many rivers and streams. The valleys among the hills were well watered and fertile. Coming to the next question. How were the Trojans protected during wartime? During wartime, the Trojans were protected by the strong walls built around the city, with gates on one side and by the hills on the other. Now, coming to the next question here. What was the cause of the 10-year-old war between the Greeks and Trojans? Greece had declared war against the Trojans because Paris, a prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen, wife of a Greek king, Menelaus, to elope with him. Great heroes on both sides were killed in the course of the war. After leading the defense of his city for 9 years, the brave Hector was at last killed by Achilles, whom none could resist. But Achilles himself was killed later on by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel, the only part of his body where he could be wounded. So now here, towards the end of the 9th year of the war, Hector, who led the army of Troy, was killed by Achilles, the legendary warrior, who was also killed later. Still later, Paris himself was killed also by a poisoned arrow. Paris was a prince of Troy. Paris himself was killed also by a poisoned arrow. The Trojans means people of Troy. People of Troy were tired of being shut up in their city, and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. But still the fighting went on. Now remaining we'll see in part 2. Now before that, for part 1 we have the English workshop. Now coming to the English workshop. Read the passage and name the following. You have to read the passage in part 1 and you have to name the following. He composed Iliad and Odyssey. It is asked, who composed the Iliad and the Odyssey? Answer will be Homer. Homer. Now coming to the next one, B. He persuaded Helen to elope with him. Answer will be Paris, a prince of Troy. C. She was the wife of King Menelaus. Answer, Helen. D. He led the defense of Troy for 9 years. Answer, Hector. E. He was killed by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel. Answer, Achilles. Now, coming to the next question. Find antonyms of the following from the passage. Barren. Opposite of barren is fertile. Fertile. Next, offended. Opposite will be defended. Defended. Cowardly. The opposite will be bravely. Peace. The opposite is war. Surrender. Opposite of surrender is fight. Exposed. The opposite is covered. Otherwise we can write protected. Next one, defenseless. Opposite is well protected. Now, coming to the next one. From other sources, find synonyms of the following words used in the story. A. Great hero. Put a hyphen and write brave. Great. Within brackets they have mentioned the greatness of the hero. So, for great, the synonym will be, meaning will be brave. So, put a hyphen and write brave. For beautiful, put a hyphen and write pretty, because in bracket you are given the word woman. Put a hyphen and write pretty. Now, for fight, put a hyphen and write defend, because you have to write the verb form. Now, D. Rich. Within brackets city is given. So, put a hyphen and write prosperous. Now, safe. Put a hyphen and write well protected. Strong. Within brackets they are given city. So, for strong the synonym will be, the meaning will be well guarded. Now, the last one is brave. The synonym will be strong. Now, see the next one. Correct the following sentences using facts from the passage. Troy traded in cattle and grass with other cities. We have to correct the following sentences using facts from the passage. So, you have to read the passage thoroughly, otherwise you will not be able to write. Here the answer will be Troy traded in goods and grain with other cities. Troy traded in goods and grain with other cities. Now coming to the next one. During war, Trojans jumped over the fort gates to fight the enemy. The answer will be, during war, the Trojans closed the gates and then the city was like a strong fortress, quite safe from all attack. During war, the Trojans closed the gates and then the city was like a strong fortress, quite safe from all attack. The next one is Helen eloped with Menelaus. The answer will be Helen eloped with Paris, a prince of Troy. Once again I repeat, the answer will be Helen eloped with Paris, a prince of Troy. Now coming to the next one, page 43. Now D. Troy was attacked because it was a strong, rich city. The answer will be Troy was attacked to take revenge for the wrong done to Menelaus. Troy was attacked to take revenge for the wrong done to Menelaus. Next one. The Greek armies and heroes always defeated the Trojans. The answer will be the Greek armies and heroes could never defeat the Trojans. Now F. Both the enemies were eager to continue fighting. Answer will be both the armies were eager to end their fighting. Both the armies were eager to end their fighting. G. The great heroes avoided one another. The answer will be the great heroes tried to kill one another. The great heroes tried to kill one another. Now next, H. Achilles was killed by an arrow that pierced his heart. The answer will be Achilles was killed by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel. Achilles was killed by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel. next question. State the counter action for the following actions. Action and counter action. Action is given to you. You have to write the counter action. Helen eloped with Paris. Under counter action, you have to write the Greek attacked the city of Troy to take revenge. The Greek attacked the city of Troy to take revenge. The Greeks sailed to Troy and attacked it. For this action, you have to write the counter action. What was the counter action? The Trojans fought back strongly and a 10-year war ensued. The Trojans fought back strongly and a 10-year war ensued. Next, Hector was killed by Achilles. For this, the counter action will be Achilles was killed by a poisoned arrow that pierced his heel. Achilles was killed by a poisoned arrow that pierced his heel. Now coming to the next one. The siege continued for 10 long years. For this, the counter action is, on one hand, unable to conquer the city, the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. On the other hand, unable to defeat the Greeks, the Trojans were tired of being shut up in their city. So once again I repeat. On one hand, unable to conquer the city, the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. On the other hand, unable to defeat the Greeks, the Trojans were tired of being shut up in their city. Now, coming to the next question. From either of our two Indian epics, find out which battle or war lasted the longest. Write down about its cause, the enemy armies, its heroes, its duration and the final outcome. Now under cause, you have to write. But before that I am telling about the two Indian epics. From the two Indian epics, the war that lasted the longest was the war of Kurukshetra, on which Mahabharata is based. So now cause. First under cause you write, the Pandavas demanded their share in the kingdom of the Kuru clan and the Kauravas declined to give them. Hence war was declared. Once again I repeat, under cause you have to write, the Pandavas demanded their share in the kingdom of the Kuru clan and the Kauravas declined to give them. Hence war was declared. Now coming to the enemy armies. Under that you have to write, the Kauravas and the Pandavas and the allies of both the armies. Now, under heroes you have to write, the heroes from the Kaurava army were Duryodhana, Dasasana, Karna, Bhishma, Drona, Ashwathama. The heroes from the Pandava army were the five brothers Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula and Sahadeva along with Lord Krishna. Now duration, under duration you have to write 18 days. And the final outcome, under final outcome you have to write, the Pandavas were victorious. Now coming to the next question. Question number 7. Complete the following sentences with reference to the passage. A. Epics are long poems that, you have to write, relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. In the fill in the blanks you have to write. In the blanks you have to write. Relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. Next one. They may be composed and sung or recited for many years before dash. They are actually written down. They are actually written down. Now next. Nobody knows for certain who dash. The author of these early epics is. The author of these early epics is. Now next one. It is believed that dash Homer, who dash and who dash to all who dash. Here there are 4 fill in the blanks. So for the first fill in the blanks you have to write a blind poet. The second one you have to write lived about 900 BC. The third fill in the blanks you have to write wandered from one Greek city or village to another singing the poems. And in the fourth fill in the blanks you have to write would receive him in their homes and give him hospitality. Once again I read the sentence. It is believed that a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BC and who wandered from one Greek city or village to another singing the poems, to all who would receive him in their homes and give him hospitality. Now coming to the next one. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, from which dash. In the dash you have to write flowed many rivers and streams. Flowed many rivers and streams. Now, another question is there below, which is very important. Underline the clauses in the above sentences. Now we have written 5 sentences. We ought to underline the clauses in the above sentences and also the words that link or connect the clauses. First of all, you should know what is a clause. A clause is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb. A clause can form a complete sentence or be a part of a sentence. There are 2 types of clauses, main and subordinate. Main clause can stand by itself as a complete sentence. Even if you read just the main clause, it makes good sense. Subordinate or dependent clause cannot stand by itself as a complete sentence. If you read just the subordinate clause, it does not make good sense. Subordinate clauses are further classified into adjective clauses, adverb clauses and noun clauses according to whether they act as adjectives, adverbs or nouns respectively. I think you would have understood. Now, once again I am repeating the definition of a main clause. A main clause can stand by itself as a complete sentence. Keep in mind, a main clause can stand by itself as a complete sentence. Even if you read just the main clause, it makes good sense. Now coming to the definition of subordinate or dependent clause. It cannot stand by itself as a complete sentence. If you read just the subordinate clause, it does not make good sense. Subordinate clauses are further divided into adjective clauses, adverb clauses and noun clauses according to whether they act as adjectives, adverbs or nouns respectively. Now, coming to the first sentence here. Epics are long poems that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. So now here the main clause will be epics or long poems. So write answer and write main class. Then put a hyphen and write epics or long poems. Then below that you write the heading subordinate noun class. Put a hyphen and write that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. Starting from that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. Keep in mind, subordinate classes are classified into adjective classes, adverb classes and noun classes according to whether they act as adjectives, adverbs or nouns respectively. Here we can see that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war act as noun. So it is subordinate noun class. So under subordinate noun class you have to write that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. So main class, put a hyphen and write epics or long poems. In subordinate noun class, put a hyphen and write that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. Now, one more thing is asked. Also, the words that link or connect the classes also should be written. So here subordinating conjunction is that. So write the heading subordinating conjunction, put a hyphen and write that. Now coming to the next one. Next sentence. They may be composed or sung or recited for many years before they are actually written down. So main class, put a hyphen and write they may be composed or sung or recited for many years. Subordinate adverb class, put a hyphen and write before they are actually written down. Why it is subordinate adverb class? Because it is acting as an adverb here before they are actually written down. So now they may be composed or sung or recited for many years as main class. Subordinate adverb classes before they are actually written down. Then you have to write the subordinating conjunction here. Subordinating conjunction, put a hyphen and write before. Now next, third one. Nobody knows for certain who the author of these early epics is. Nobody knows for certain who the author of these early epics is. Main class, put a hyphen and write nobody knows for certain. Subordinate noun class, put a hyphen and write who the author of these early epics is. Subordinating conjunction, put a hyphen and write who. Now coming to the next one. Next one is such a big sentence. It is believed that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BC and who wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing poems to all who would receive him in their homes and gave him hospitality. So now, main classes, it is believed. Subordinate noun class, that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer. I am reading the sentence once again, which is given to you. It is believed that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BC and who wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing the poems to all who would receive him in their homes and gave him hospitality. So here the main class is, it is believed. A main class can stand by itself as a complete sentence. Even if you read just the main class, it makes a good sense. Main class, put a hyphen and write it is believed. Now below that write subordinate noun class. Put a hyphen and write that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer. And here the subordinating conjunction is that. Put the heading subordinating conjunction. Put a hyphen and write that. Now subordinate adjective class. Put a hyphen and write who lived about 900 BC. It is acting as an adjective. the subordinate adjective class who lived about 900 BC. Now, in the next line you write subordinating conjunction. Put a hyphen and write who. Then below that write subordinate adjective class. Put a hyphen and write who wandered from one Greek city or village to another singing the poems to all. Then in the next line you write subordinating conjunction. Put a hyphen and write who. Then the next line you write subordinate adjective class. One more adjective class is there. Subordinate adjective class. One more adjective class is there. Put a hyphen and write who would receive him in their homes and gave him hospitality. And below that you write subordinating conjunction. Put a hyphen and write who. Now coming to the next sentence. E. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, from which flowed many rivers and streams. The answer will be main class. Put a hyphen and write at the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida. Below that you write subordinate adjective class. Put a hyphen and write from which flowed many rivers and streams. Under that you write subordinating conjunctions. Put a hyphen and write from which. Now coming to part 2. At last, Troy was taken not by force but by a trick. It was the cunning Odysseus who thought of a plan to obtain the victory. Let us build a great wooden house, he said, big enough to hold men inside it, and let some of our best fighters hide in the house. Then let us burn our tents and pretend to sail away in our ships. But instead of sailing away, we will return in the night. When the Trojans are asleep, we will attack the city and burn and kill. So in the 10th year, the city of Troy was captured by the Greeks, but by a clever trick. Odysseus, a Greek king and warrior, devised a plan to take over Troy. The Greeks built a great wooden house which could fit in many Greek soldiers. The Greek leaders decided to follow the advice of the wise Odysseus. So a great house of wood was made by a skillful engineer, and the greatest heroes, Menelaus, Odysseus himself and others entered it, the last man to go in being the architect himself, who knew the secret of opening and shutting the entrance. That evening the Greeks burned their tents and sailed away in their ships, but they did not go very far. Only one man was left behind to persuade the Trojans to drag the house into their city. So what happened? The Greeks built a great wooden house which could fit in many Greek soldiers. Once the house was made, many Greek warriors including Odysseus and Menelaus got inside it, and the house was then shut. At night, the Greek soldiers set fire to their tents and set sail for an island nearby where they could hide. Only one man was left behind to persuade the Trojans to drag the horse into their city. Next day, the Trojans woke up expecting to go out and fight as they had done for the past 10 years. What delight and surprise they felt at the sight they saw on the seashore outside the walls. It seemed that the long siege was over at last. The tents had been burnt. The shore was deserted. The Greek ships had all gone. So the next morning, when the Trojan soldiers came to the battlefield, to their astonishment, they saw that the Greeks were gone and only a large wooden horse was left at the shore. "It's peace at last," they cried, and opened wide their gates, and came out in large numbers on the plain, glad to be free again to go where they pleased. Then they saw on the sands the huge wooden horse. They gathered around it in astonishment, for it was indeed a wonderful piece of work. As they were wondering how the horse had been built and why it had been left behind, they found a Greek with his hands tied together lying under it. When the Trojans dragged him out, the man pretended to be very frightened of them. When he was commanded to tell them why the Greeks had gone and why they had left the horse behind, he pretended to tremble very much and refused to speak. When at last they threatened to kill him, he spoke and told them this false tale. Tale means story. He told them a false tale. When they saw a Greek soldier tied up beneath the horse and forced him to tell them what had happened, the Greek soldier cunningly told them that the Greeks were tired of the long war and wanted to go home. "The Greeks are tired of the long war and have sailed away in their ships," he said. So this was the false tale that he told. Coming to the questions here. How did Odysseus plan to defeat the Trojans? Odysseus planned to build a huge wooden horse so that the best fighters can hide inside it, while the rest of the army will pretend to have sailed back only to return back to the shore at night to kill the Trojans when they would be asleep. What was the reason for Troy to rejoice and celebrate? The reason for Troy to rejoice and celebrate was that the war was over and the long siege had ended. Was it enough to use a wooden horse to hide? Yes, the horse was big enough to hide the best Greek fighters inside it. It was made by a skillful engineer who entered the horse himself along with Menelaus, Odysseus, and the great Greek warriors. What was done to make the Trojans take it inside the city? What was done to make the Trojans take the horse inside the city? Here it means horse. As per Odysseus' plan, the large wooden horse was left at the beach and the Greeks pretended to sail away in their ships back to their homes. They left behind a soldier to persuade the Trojans to drag the horse in their city. When he was questioned by the Trojans, he gave them a false story as instructed by Odysseus. He said the Greeks have left for their homeland as they were tired of war. Then further they also told them they made the horse as an offering to the god of the sea. The soldier further added that the Greeks also wanted to kill him as sacrifice to the sea god, but he escaped and hid from them. They built such a huge horse to make sure that the Trojans would not be able to carry it into the city, as the luck would then go to the Trojans, not the Greeks. His story was so convincing that the Trojans believed him. They were delighted to hear his lies. They then broke down part of their strong wall and dragged the horse in. That is given in page number 45. The Greeks are tired of the long war and have sailed away in their ships, he said. But they are afraid of the long voyage home too. And so they have made this horse and left it as an offering to the god of the sea. They wanted also to kill me and offer me as a sacrifice to the sea god. But I escaped and hid from them. This is a false tale told by the Greek soldier. But why did the Greeks make such a huge horse? Some of the Trojans asked. And the cunning Greek made this reply. Again the Greek soldier made some reply. What was it? If they had made a smaller offering, you might have taken it into your city. Then the luck would have gone to the Trojans and not to the Greeks. That is why they made it too big to go inside your gates. The Trojans were delighted to hear this. The Greeks have gone, they said, and the walls are no longer necessary. Let us make a hole in the wall and drag the horse in. Their wise priest warned them not to do so. It may be a trick that will ruin us, he said. You will bring disaster on the city if you break down the walls. But they were so excited that they paid no attention to his words. They broke down part of their strong wall in order to drag the horse in. All that day the Trojans feasted and drank and celebrated. After all their celebrations, they went to sleep and slept soundly. But that day of rejoicing was soon followed by a night of terror and death. The Greek ships had not sailed far. As soon as they were hidden by an island, they had lowered their sails and dropped anchor and waited for the night. In the darkness, the fleet sailed back, and the leading ship was Agamemnon's, bore a red light high on its mast. The Greek, who was watching for the return of the fleet, crept to the wooden horse and gave the signal. The side of the horse opened, the Greeks climbed out and opened the gates. The whole Greek army entered the sleeping city. Immediately the Greeks set fire to houses and towers and palaces and began to burn and kill. So now what happened? On being asked why the horse was so enormous, the Greek soldier replied that only if the horse stayed outside Troy, it would be favorable for the Greeks, and that is why it was huge, so that it wouldn't be dragged into the city. The Trojans thought that they would break a part of the wall and drag the horse inside the city to bring misfortune to the Greeks. Despite the warning of the priest, they dragged the horse inside the city. That night they rejoiced in their victory and went to bed peacefully. Here they slept soundly. That means they were very peaceful in their sleep. In the middle of the night, the Greeks who had sailed to a nearby island came back. The Greek soldier who was left behind gave a signal, and the architect of the house opened it from the side. They opened the city gates, and the entire Greek army entered the city of Troy in the silence of the night. What followed afterwards was terror and cruelty. The old and epic city of Troy was burned to the grounds. The Greeks set fire to houses and towers and palaces. Now, coming to the questions over here. How did the cunning Greek explain the presence of such a large wooden horse? The cunning Greek explained the presence of such a large wooden horse by saying that the Greeks had made this horse and left it as an offering to the god of the sea, as they were afraid of the long voyage back home. Do you think the Greeks and Trojans were superstitions? Give reasons for your answer. The Greeks were not superstitious, as the huge wooden horse was not an offering to the sea god but a clever trick. The Trojans, on the other hand, were superstitious, as they believed in the fake story. The Trojans really thought that if they got the wooden horse inside their city, they would be blessed by the sea god. And hence, they even tore down a part of the wall to drag the horse in, risking the security. Now, coming to the next question. reckless step did the Trojans take? The reckless step the Trojans took was to make a hole in the wall and drag the huge wooden horse inside the city. Coming to the next question. How did the Greeks enter the city of Troy? Odysseus devised a clever plan which helped the Greeks enter the city of Troy. A huge wooden house was built such that the best of Greek fighters could hide inside. The house was left on the shore with one of the Greek soldiers who told them that he escaped from being offered to the sea god. How did the Greek ships remain hidden from the Troy? How did the Greek ships remain hidden from Troy? The answer will be, the Greek ships remained hidden from Troy by lowering their sails and dropping their anchors behind an island away from the coast. Now coming to the next page. Troy was filled with the sight of leaping flames and the sound of shouting and the noise of weapons and the cries of weeping women. The sleeping Trojans sprang out of their beds, but they were taken by surprise. Their enemies were right inside their walls, and many of the Trojans were killed before they could put on their armor and seize their weapons. A bright light lit up the night sky as palaces and houses, temples and towers went up in flames. The Trojans fought as well as they could, but it was all in vain. Old King Priam was killed with all his brave sons. Hector's wife and his old mother and sister were carried off as slaves by the conquerors. Their fate was in contrast to Helen's when King Menelaus rushed through the city looking for her and found her in her palace. She hung her head in shame and sorrow as she faced her former husband. Her voice was choked with emotion and she could not speak. But Menelaus forgave her and she went back with him, for it was only Aphrodite who had turned her heart away from her home and her husband and her child. When morning came, nothing was left of the proud rich city that had resisted attack for 10 years. So what is given here? The old and epic city of Troy was burned to the grounds. Its soldiers and kings were killed mercilessly. Towards the end, the king of Troy, King Priam and Prince Paris were also killed. The wife, mother and sister of Hector were taken as slaves, and Helen was returned back to King Menelaus. This marked the tragic end of the great city of Troy. So when morning came, nothing was left of the proud rich city that had resisted attack for 10 years. Now looking at these questions. Now look at these questions. What distressing sounds and sights could be witnessed at Troy that fateful night? Answer will be, Troy was filled with the sight of leaping flames as the Greeks had set fire to the houses, temples, towers and palaces. There were sounds of people shouting and the noise of weapons and the cries of weeping women. Such were the distressing sounds and sights that could be witnessed at Troy on that fateful night when the whole city was burnt to ashes. What was the destiny of the royal family of Troy and that of Helen? The royal family of Troy was defeated by the Greeks, and hence even after defending itself for 10 years it was defeated. Hector, Paris and old King Priam with all his sons were killed. Hector's wife, mother and sister were carried off as slaves by the Greeks. Helen was destined to be back with her husband. So after the defeat of the Trojans, she returned back to Greece with her husband. Think and answer. How could the fall of Troy have been avoided? The fall of Troy could have been avoided only if the people of Troy had paid heed to the warning of their priest. Only if they would have listened to the warning of the priest. The Greeks might have never been able to enter the city if the huge wooden horse with the soldiers hiding inside it was not dragged into the city, and if they hadn't broken down a part of their own walls which had protected the city for so many years. Now, coming to English workshop. Find and write the Greek and Trojan names used in the story part 1 and part 2. The answer will be the Trojan names are Paris, a prince of Troy, King Priam, Hector, put comma and write. Paris, a prince of Troy, put a comma, King Priam, put a comma, write Hector. Now, Greek names are Helen, put a comma and write Menelaus, Menelaus, put a comma and write Achilles, Achilles. Then put a comma and write Odysseus, Odysseus, and Agamemnon, Agamemnon. Now coming to the next one, list all the words related to war from both parts of the story. You can write the answer like this: enemy, attack, put commas and write fortresses, soldiers, kings, heroes, siege, battles, armies, victory, weapons, enemies, armor. You can also find some other words, pick up and write. Now question number 3. Note the following constructions carefully and then use them to express your ideas. See the first one. A house big enough to hold men inside it. The answer will be, I have a house big enough to entertain 50 people. You can write your own sentences. I have a house big enough to entertain so many people. Now, the Greeks were tired of the long war. You have to use tired of and frame a different sentence. I was tired of my long tour, otherwise my long picnic, otherwise my long journey. Next, they are afraid of the long voyage home too. You can write, we are afraid of the results of a mischief. The next one. They made it too big to go inside your city. You can write, we were too busy to continue the competition. Otherwise, we were too tired to continue the competition. We were too tired to continue the competition. Next, E. They were so excited that they paid no attention to his words. You can write, I was so happy that I could sing with joy. Coming to the next one. This is like a chronological order. Put the following events in the order in which they took place. Number them accordingly. You have to number it. So let us number it. Read all the sentences. Now coming to this one, the cunning Odysseus thought of a plan. This will be the first one. Then the Greeks built a big wooden house will be the second one. Then the great heroes hid inside the house will be the third one. The Greeks burned their tents and sailed away will be the fourth one. The Trojans were happy to see the Greek ships go will be the fifth one. The Trojans found a Greek man under the big wooden house. This will be the sixth one. The priest warned the Trojans not to break the wall. Will be the seventh one. They broke down part of the wall and brought the horse in. Will be the eighth one. The Trojans slept soundly will be the ninth one. The Greeks came out of the house and opened the gates will be the 10th one. The Greek army entered the city will be the 11th one. Then what is remaining? Troy was burnt down. That will be the last one. That is the 12th one. Now coming to the next one. Form pairs. Imagine you are a pair of Trojans and you have come to know about Odysseus' plan. Make a counter plan to defeat the Greeks. Write down your plan as you would explain it to your fellow Trojans. This is your homework. Now, coming to question number 6. Identify one example of a main class and one example of a dependent class from page 46. I have already explained what is a main class and dependent class, that is the subordinate class in this lesson. So now you can identify. So the answer will be, many of the Trojans were killed before they could put on their armor. It is in page number 46. You can pick up this sentence. Many of the Trojans were killed before they could put on their armor. And write main class, put a hyphen and write, many of the Trojans were killed. Then for the dependent class means subordinate class. Put a hyphen and write, before they could put on their armor. Before they could put on their armor. Now coming to the next sentence in page 46. That will be the second answer. It was only Aphrodite who had turned her heart away from her home. It was only Aphrodite who had turned her heart away from her home. Here the main classes, write main class, put a hyphen and write, it was only Aphrodite. It was only Aphrodite. Then under that you write dependent clause, put a hyphen and write who had turned her heart away from her home. Now come to the next one. Be a writer. Now read the beginning and end of a science fiction story given below and complete the story using your imagination. The magic glasses. So you have to do this as homework. Now coming to the next one. Read the following and observe the uses of tenses. Last week I witnessed a strange accident. Let me tell you about it. The signal flashes green. The vehicles start from the opposite direction. They move fast. Suddenly a speeding motorcyclist tries to cut across from the wrong side. He is about to collide with a loaded truck. He applies the brakes. He falls and slides out with his bike from under the truck. He comes out unscathed on the other side. When an event which has occurred in the past is narrated in the present tense, to create a dramatic effect, its tense is called the dramatic present tense. Now try to relate Jayan's science fiction story in brief in the dramatic past tense. So something is given to you in present tense, you have to convert the tense of the verb into past tense and write once again.